Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you just landed here. I'm a Fefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond, doing my Monday taping for you all. You know that my schedule typically is just so you can keep along, but also please hit the notifications bell, and that way you'll know when I put something up. But Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are typically when I try to check in on the political front with you all. So, woo, how about let's start out today with a little bit of humor. We could use it, right? How about this John Barron decided to old front resurrected John Barron apparently and made this call into C-SPAN, clearly him, and then come to find out, I had forgotten about this. Maybe some of you remember, this is something that he used to do way back in the day, right? Back in the 80s, he would call into radio shows and stuff to try and pump himself up under aliases. And apparently John Barron, hello, John, like alias of all aliases. Apparently John Barron was one of those names that he used to use back in the day. So that was like a great big flag, right? And then we understand that the reporter on C-SPAN, while he's on there, this was in response to SCOTUS's decision on the tariffs, right? So he's hooping and hollering about them and about Hakeem Jeffries and just how, can't stand anybody. And they said finally they knew who it was. His voice, you could tell it was him. His cadence, even his wording, you could tell. And so they said they just yanked him off the air, like the reporter or whoever was, producers or somebody just hung up on him. But yeah, he has gone so far as to resurrect John Barron, right? You are technically, for entertainment purposes only, you are technically the president of the free world, the United States of America, and you are assuming an alter ego to call into a news outlet and spout off some stuff. Ooh. So many reasons to start really like, what's up with the 25th Amendment, you all? What's up with it? Like, what has to be done, right? All right. So that's one thing. The other thing is, we know there was a lot of talk. I didn't read on it, but many, Libby is who's great, did, and many other readers looked into this situation with the Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, right? Epstein's Zorro Ranch. And if in fact there are some bodies there, right? Now I skated right past that because I was like, not sure. But now we're also hearing that there are storage units that apparently Epstein had all around the country, numerous of them, particularly in Florida and apparently in New York, but nobody knows where they are. They've been trying to track from the documents that have been released, trying to track like credit card statements and, other forms of payment. And a couple of the places we understand have been contacted by storage units, have been contacted by media, but they've been saying essentially, I understand they got to do it for legal reasons. They've been saying, listen, without a subpoena or something from the government, it's none of my business. I'm not in it. I'm not really going to take the time to read on that today. I want to mention it because several people emailed me. There's a whole lot of there, you all. Follow the money, right? Follow the money. The money will lead you to these storage units. These storage units apparently said they've got computers, they've got photos, they've got videotapes, they've got it all, right? And we know that Ghislaine knows where this stuff is, but she's got her cushy situation and still trying to angle for a way out, so she's never going to tell. So I'm getting bottom line, unless and until we have that change in government, whether take some majorities in 2026 this year, or certainly by 2028 when we have a new administration in, it's never going to go away. It's gotten too big, and Spirit has just been really, really consistent in saying that things are going to be revealed. But in terms of this situation, getting these documents and materials out of these storage facilities, finding where they are, that takes resources. And we know the DOJ is not going to do that. The FBI is not going to do that. We're going to talk about Cash Patel in a moment. Woo, what a weekend he had in Italy, right? Pounding them Coronas. All right. Want to take a look at Mexico on a serious note. Now, we saw what happened. The way the media has been painting it is that this cartel leader what's his name, El Mencho. This cartel leader was taken down by Mexican military forces. And then as the story developed, we understand that, yeah, but a lot of that happened because due to the assistance of U.S. intelligence. And that was one reason why all the flags, all the airport shut down, tourists being told to shelter in place, now being told don't go there if you have vacation plans in Puerto Vallarta, or if you're going into Guadalajara airport, or even perhaps other places, like just don't do it right now. I want to get to like what's really up. There's always more than meets the eye. We know that Trump was pressuring Sheinbaum for a long time about addressing drug cartels, and she has said and held him off for a long time and said, you do not need to bring your military forces here. I've got it handled. I will take care of it. But he's drawn her in now into this apparent collaboration to do this. Y'all, is he punking her? Is he punking Sheinbaum? Because we also know that this year, the trade pact agreement between Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. is due for review by July of this year. I'm getting that he's trying to pull Sheinbaum and Mexico in Eight of Cups, trying to get her to walk away from Canada and Mark Carney, etc. Because from what we hear, especially in light of that border peace situation, Sheinbaum said thanks but no thanks. Canada, Trump rescinded their invitation, you remember, because of the Carney's comments and others' comments in at that World Economic Forum a little while ago in Davos, right? So he got a case of the attitude, and rescinded the invitation to Canada to be a part of this border peace. But Sheinbaum said, no, thank you. Thanks, but no thanks. He's afraid that Mexico and Canada are going to become a bloc. That's what I'm getting, Spirit. The Four of Cups, he feels shut out. He feels jealous. He feels that at one point, even though things are really contentious between Trump and Mark Carney in Canada, Sheinbaum has had an interesting. She's navigated things in a really strategic and smart way. He doesn't want to be left out. Now, and the Hierophant, government. This is all about control. He wants. Thank you, Spirit. Trump's plan in doing this. Now it's twofold. It's not just about pulling Sheinbaum in and trying to cozy up and tighten reliance. Or pretend to tighten Mexico's reliance on the U.S., right, to deal with drug cartels, to continue to cooperate around the border, etc. But this is also what I'm getting is this justifies, this is like a full loop where it justifies his continuation and expansion of DHS. Because remember, a lot of this started around combating drug cartels, combating drug gangs that may have made it into the United States. Spirit. What's his long game here? The Sun. He wants to appear successful on some front. Keeping in mind as well, we're going to get to this in a moment, the State of the Union tomorrow, right? I'm taping this Monday morning. State of the Union Tuesday tomorrow. He needs a win. And so his ability to now, say to Mexico, we're here to assist you. I'm not trying to bully you and send my forces in, because Sheinbaum had already said, don't do that. We've got a fine military here. We can handle our business. Don't put boots on the ground here. But there's the Six of Pentacles. He's trying to negotiate this deal with her in particular, because he sees things going south in Canada. And there's such a different dynamic with him and Carney than it is with him and Sheinbaum. So he's in this, and he's doing what he's doing in Mexico because he needs it on his resume. He needs it to be able to show to MAGA, oh, now we told you there was a threat. right? And now you see live, our people are having to hole up in hotels and can't get out of Mexico because of these dangerous cartel leaders. Spirit, will there be any American injuries? Because that'll be a game changer. If there are any American citizens who get hurt over there, that's gonna be a total pretext to take military forces, U.S. military forces in. Will there be any U.S. citizens who are harmed based on this aftermath? Two of Swords. There will be Two of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles. I don't think so, but there will be. The Two of Swords are like conflicting messages, media being told to continue to angle in on the potential threats. We heard yesterday when all of this was unfolding, there were people who were saying, I'm here and yeah, there's some stuff burning, but I don't really feel under threat. The cartel, those who were reacting to Mincho's death, were apparently, when they were setting those cars on fire, they were removing people from those vehicles. They weren't just killing people ad hoc. They were not saying any of it is right or any of that. You get my drift. But the point is the story that's going to be spun from this to try and continue to dangle the potential for danger, particularly to U.S. citizens, and therefore use that as a reason to assess Seven of Pentacles, continue to assess the border, continue to assess the risk, continue to push for these attempts at the horrific attempts at, and not just attempts, engagements around detention centers. Spirit, is that a part of this? Is he trying to use this situation in Mexico to his advantage for detention centers here in the United States? 150%. Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles. The money for it, these detention centers that they're trying to build, the money to buy land and facilities, existing facilities. Now we know a lot of states have been standing up to this regime and saying, no, we're not selling you that. I don't care how long it's been empty. I don't care where it is. We're not selling it to you. But there are also those that will. And that's what this is about. It's part of a larger plan, and Scheinbaum, unfortunately, has been sort of squeezed into an inescapable situation because he's been, as you know, he's been putting the squeeze on her now for a while. Look, we got to do something about this. His whole thing was hinging on, with the mangas, etc., hinging on, we got to do something about these drug members, these cartel members, and bringing drugs into the U.S. And she's like, no, you're not doing that. But now look and see what's happened, and he's doing it. Because she basically doesn't have a choice, right? They did apparently rely on U.S. intelligence to carry this out, even though their people did it. We're hearing that might have been supposedly perhaps, allegedly, some special forces involved there too. Keeping in mind who went to go talk to the special forces that went to go get Maduro. What was it, last week? Him and Hegseth and Melania. Like, why did she go? But remember, they went to, was it Virginia? They went just last week to talk to the same special forces that had gone and gotten Maduro out of Venezuela. Like, what was that about? Spirit said that was about more than we knew. And that's what this is. But his aim is to make it, while DHS is still, partially closed because of the partial government shutdown, etc., it's to continue to amp up the role of DHS and increased militarization in U.S. cities because of this supposed threat that they're going to take this story and continue to grow it. All right? Dang. Okay. Second thing I wanted to look at today, Spirit told me, is State of the Union. All right. So he got the gold, basically, is what Trump is saying, right? So we saw, many of you probably have seen by now. If so, go look. It's interesting. So I'm going to call him Corona Cash today. because he was pounding them back. So Corona Cash gets Frump on the phone in the locker room. It looked like they were still in the locker room of the USA hockey team, Olympic hockey team, after their win. You can see these guys are getting roasted. What else is new, right? I mean, what else is new? But, in sports, and I guess in particular hockey, I ran across another article in Time magazine that talked about the U.S. team in general. It's just like a feature piece, but it said basically that a lot of them were about whiskey and beer, allegedly, supposedly, right? Got to say that. But it's an interesting piece in Time where they were talking essentially about how they were bonding, and they bonding over some stuff. But then we saw this video with Corona Cash pounding them back, hooping and hollering and screaming, and just champagne drenched, just all up in the locker room on the taxpayer dime. Took the private FBI jet over there to Italy to do all of this, right? But he gets Frump on the phone, and you can hear Frump. There's a video out there. You can hear Frump like, "Yeah, you guys did it, da da da." And now, what about if I send you all a military plane? We put you on a military plane and bring you back and come hang out with me for the State of the Union on Tuesday night. And of course, these guys are young, toasted, euphoric in this, caught up in the moment, and you can hear them going, "Yeah, yeah, we're going to that." And Cash, supposed to be head of FBI, talking to the president of the United States, and he said, quote unquote, you can hear, they tried to bleep it out, but Cash tells Frump, he's like, "I'm effing on it. Like, I'm going to gather them together and make sure that I get them there in time for your speech on Tuesday night. I'm effing on it," right? Like, alternate universe. He's going to make the State of the Union, I think, a real dig at Canada. Again, to try and drive this wedge between Canada and Mexico, because Sheinbaum and Carney have been talking to one another in light of this trade agreement that's coming up for review, and in light of the constant threat of tariffs and just the constant turmoil. So like Carney's been doing his thing in Europe, Sheinbaum been doing her thing in Europe. Sheinbaum also, apparently Mexico sent tons of supplies to Cuba. He didn't like that at all. Rubio didn't like that at all. That's not a part of their game plan. So again, they're trying to get their tentacles into Mexico to try and get some leverage and control. Spirit, the State of the Union is going to essentially commandeer the victory of the U.S. hockey team to leverage and take jabs at Canada. Is he going to make a large part? It's supposed to be about the State of the Union, right? The U.S., but I'm getting that we're going to hear a whole lot about digs taken at Canada. A star? I think so, you all. And the Empress comes below that. I'm not going to ignore it because it's a major arcana. He's going to talk about Mexico as well. I feel like this is Sheinbaum, or at least related to Sheinbaum, but this is also about the trade deal. The Empress being an energy of earth, values, goods, ruled by Venus, actual goods being traded, right? The need for cooperative agreements between these three countries that there's this U.S. borders. So he's going to put some stuff out with that star in the State of the Union tomorrow. He's really going to try and beef up what he has pretended to do in his own self-interest around Mexico. We did this, we offered that on that end. On the other hand, he's going at Canada because he wants to Page of Swords. Reckless. No fact check. Listen, while we're here, let's put a bet in the comments, all right? I say when we fact check, how many lies? All right? What number you got, right? I'm just going to shoot for the stars. I'm going to say on average around 40 something, 42. 42 fact check lies. That's what I'm feeling. Tell me what you think, right? How many lies are we going to hear? Page of Swords. And the Four of Swords, lack of clarity. And he's being told, because remember, he's been pressured. Susie Wiles and others in his administration who see these poll numbers and how things are going south fast. And he's being told, listen, you got to get clear on an economic message here. What is the trade agreement between these two major countries, right? That's what he's thinking. There it is, Ten of Pentacles. There it is. It's he's going to use this as the State of the Union as an opportunity to totally usurp and essentially make fools of this U.S. hockey team, the Olympic champions, who won the gold. Historic, right? Hadn't been 40 something years since it happened, but he's going to take it and twist it entirely to his own, like he's the guy, he's done it, he's the reason that anything good has ever happened to the U.S., and his aim is to continue to have leverage over both Canada, especially Canada. He wants to put the screws to Canada. He wants control in Mexico. Mexico he sees as more of a political tool in his favor because of immigration and drugs. And there's the Three of Pentacles, the three countries together, the trade agreement. And he wants to be the one to drive the wedge. He wants to keep Mexico and Canada from getting too chummy with one another by going on the attack on the one end with Canada, and by pretending to be a benefactor on the other end to Mexico. Benefactor or else, right? Bully benefactor. Dang. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, your energy. And your intelligence, your smarts. I love the comments. I read them. I just ask that we continue to be respectful toward one another. We know that all of us, I'm human, our emotions can sometimes get the best of us. So just let's try to keep it together. We got a ways to go as all of this continues to unfold. And remember, always chin up, shoulders back. Know who you are in this situation, in these times that we're in. And apparently we signed up for this. You're here, just like me. We are here in this moment in time for a purpose, right? Sky above us, right? Sky's the limit and beyond. Sky above us, earth beneath us, supporting us, and certainly always our souls and spirit within us. All right? I'll talk to you real soon. Take care. Be safe. Bye.